Hi Spark Team! Today I want to talk about Chirag Patel's The Bucket Game because I think it's just an awesome empowerment exercise. So the nature of the bucket game is the dog stares at a bucket full of food, and when they're good at it, then the handler can clean ears, do toenails, brush the dog at the dog's control. So as long as the dog is looking at the bucket, you are free to move forward to the next step. If the dog looks away from the bucket, either at something else or at the thing you're trying to do, that's your cue to stop. The dog isn't ready to continue with the game. And that's kind of an interesting concept for a lot of people. But basically it's a way for the dog to say, there's something else going on I need to deal with, I can't pay attention right now, or I'm not comfortable enough with what you're doing, you need to slow down. And it's a really cool game. I am doing it, I think, a little different than Chirag does, because he does it just standing up with the bucket and then with the bucket on the ground, with the dog a little more free to move around. Because this is a tricks group and I personally am not organized enough to have a bucket that was only for the bucket game, I'm using Ziggy's platform and his food bowl as a combination cue of what's going to happen. So as long as he's on his platform and the bucket is on the floor in front of it, we're playing the bucket game. So he's not supposed to get off the platform and dig into his food, but he's not just randomly staring at a food bowl or a bucket just out in the environment. So the first step is what you're going to see. I'm just going to be clicking and giving him food for staying on his platform and looking at the food bowl. And then I'm raising my hand a little bit nearer his collar. It's hard to see from the angle of the thing, but I am actually reaching near his collar just to introduce a little motion from me that it's okay if I'm moving. I'm not asking you to actually do anything. You can still look at the bucket. And if you look at the bucket, you'll get clicked. And that's day one of the bucket game.
Start at 4 o'clock with the team 5 countdown to kick off. NBC's pregame show follows at 4:30 with game coverage starting at 5, and then it's a live fifth quarter post-game show. You don't want to miss out. We'll also be handing out bumpy shades right outside our K5 studios from 3 to 5. Just bring a $5 donation or non-perishable food item so you can keep the shades for free. And for the Seahawks fan experience, you come to the Hero Home. Well, you can watch the sort of pre and post.
Hi Spark Team, it's day 2 of the bucket game, and today's goal is I want to extend the time so he has to look at the bucket for a few seconds sometimes. So it's going to be variable. Sometimes the food comes really quickly, sometimes there's going to be a longer 3, 4, 5 seconds before he gets a piece of kibble. And the other thing I want to do is desensitize him to me touching him while he's looking at the food. This is going to be hard for Ziggy because he really likes tactile. He likes to be touched and will frequently turn away from food if there's an opportunity for somebody to pet him. So this is kind of the opposite of what a lot of people have, where dogs really don't want to be touched in the presence of food. He really couldn't care less about food if there's an opportunity for a cuddle. So he's got to get desensitized to my hands moving. And we'll see how it goes.
Not only was Ike in the White House, President Eisenhower, he was probably watching the game on a black and white set with rabbit ears and tinfoil. Very fast and afterwards. Right, that's how long it has been. It's been a long drought for the Lions. They've lost 8 consecutive playoff games. And desperately trying to avoid a 9th time. It's a one-possession game. It's 2nd down and 6. In the third, and Cole was handed off to the center. Now, If you're a Detroit fan, you're sick of it. You know what the rest of the country probably doesn't. And it's more of a presidential rivalry. You go back to it's in San Francisco, and it was a big comeback. The last time this team won, they were open and it juggling back, but it's dropped. And they play. Marvin Jones had gotten very free. But there's a penalty marker back near the line of scrimmage.
Lions fans got to be sick.
Okay, all done. Hi Spark Team, it's day 3 of the bucket game, and today I'm going to be introducing brushing him. And so I'm going to be taking the brush and touching his body with it and giving him food. If he looks away from the bucket, I'm going to stop brushing it and wait for him to look back to the bucket before I continue brushing. This sort of starts the whole, if he says he's not ready or he's distracted, the activity stops until he says he's ready to re-engage with the game. So let's see how that goes.
How are you checking your credit score?
You don't want to drive over blue forever, do you?
Credit card, huh?
Yeah, it's free.
Credit card. Give yourself some credit.
If you like Microtouch before, you're going to love the all-new Max.
The all-new Microtouch Max Precision Hair Trimmer. German stainless steel blades, built-in LED light, and now with 50% more power for more precise grooming for ears, nose, eyebrows, neck, and sideburns.
Microtouch Max. Uncompromised effort. And hey, for under $10, the best value in grooming.
The all-new Microtouch Max. Available now at these fine stores.
So you're a famous football player.
I am.
Think you could do a Popeyes commercial?
Pretty sure.
Play that.
Bring flavor to the playoffs, honey, with 6 of my green wings and buttermilk dressing for just $3.99.
Oh, you're good.
Thank you.
Hi, Phil Swift here for the Flex Seal family of products. With Flex Seal, you can code, seal, and stop leaks quick.
For a time homeowner and collecting, that's how it really works.
And now, with Flex Seal Liquid, you can brush, roll, dip, or pour.
Once you start using it, you start finding all these other uses.
And with Flex Shot, you can call, bond, and seal virtually anything. Imagine everything you can do with the Flex Seal family of products. The NFL Pro Bowl is still on sale to get your tickets today.
The holidays may be over, but if you hurry, you can still get the best deals
Stay.
on the best network.
Here you go.
Like Verizon's best smartphones for only $10 per month.
Good boy.
Like the Samsung Galaxy S7, the Pixel, owned by Google, or the Moto Z Droid for only $10 per month. Plus, hurry in and switch to Verizon now and get up to $650 to cover your costs. There's still time to get amazing deals at Verizon.
Good boy. Okay, all done. Okay, Spark Team, so I'm going to be really brave and show you a video now of Ziggy being just a little demon about being brushed. The reality is he's just playing. He thinks the brush is a toy, and I am playing with a toy on his body, and he is trying to get the brush. He wants to eat the brush. But that's not what I'm trying to accomplish when I'm brushing him, and that's not the fight I want to have with him for his whole life, which is why we're playing the bucket game. I'm showing you this because one of my big regrets is I never filmed Layla at her worst on her toenails. Layla was truly phobic. I mean, truly phobic about having her toenails done. And she was not phobic about having her feet handled. She'd handle your feet. You could pick up her feet. If you came near her feet with anything resembling a tool, she would panic. And I used this technique to get her over that. And at the end of her life, you could put out a can of open cat food, and she would sit on the couch and stare at the can of cat food and let you do her toes. Now, you couldn't do all 4 feet without giving her treats. I mean, she did get food throughout the whole process, but it was so much better. And I really never got the opportunity to show people beginning to end with her. So I'm being really brave and sharing with you Ziggy as a demon puppy.
Presents the Verizon Halftime Report.
Puppy. No, don't fall off.
Well, the Ben-Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown connection is hooked up for 2 first-half touchdowns. The score at halftime in Pittsburgh, the Steelers on top of the Dolphins 20-6 as we welcome you back to our New York City.